Welcome back to the Becoming More podcast, episode number 23. Before we get started, I want to ask all of you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and to rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Here in Becoming More, we go in depth talking to some amazing people about how they have changed their lives dramatically and have inspired others to work towards the same. Today, I am joined by Alex Porro. Alex, how are you today?
You good, and yourself? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. It's a great Sunday here as we're recording. So Alex, I like to ask everybody, what is the bottom line of your journey? Because Alex said so.
The bottom line of my journey, um, it's kind of like a loaded question. I don't know, just staying. It's gonna sound so corny, but just staying hungry. Pretty much just like adapting, never really being complacent, and just cool. I lost a bunch of weight. What's next type of mentality.
Yeah. I feel like the journey kind of leapfrogs you into other things that you can do besides just lose weight. Because at some point you've lost most of the weight, right?
Yeah,
Like you might go in stretches where you lose 10, 20 pounds here or there, but
yeah. So it's just kind of like, what's next? You know what I mean? Just keep
oh yeah,
pushing.
for sure. So before we get talking about what's next, I'd like to go back to the beginning and just talk about childhood a little bit. So were you a heavy kid growing up? Like, did you do sports a lot? And when you did gain, was it like a slow progression, or was it just like over the course of 1 or 2 years, you just gained a ton?
So I have always been thick, as I like to say. And I really don't like to, I mean, now that I know better, genetics tend to play a part in certain things, health wise, with diabetes and high blood pressure, stuff like that. But just in general, my immediate family, my parents, my brother, we were always heavy, overweight, while like my cousins, my grandparents, and then other off parts of the family weren't. So it was definitely a household thing with food. Um, so definitely from a young age, I want to say like once I started, I mean, I was always the heavier kid, but once I started getting past the age of like 6 or 7, I was way I was on a
Mhm.
different level, but like I was always active. My mom always had me on team sports. Was I good at them? Not sure, because I really didn't play that much. I mean, I know that you're a big sports fan. I don't know how active you were at a young age playing team sports, but like I always had the bigger number jersey. I usually was always number 15 because they, went size wise.
Oh yeah.
So like I played, soccer again, wasn't that good. They had me on defense because even though being big, you could play goalie, you still needed reflexes. Didn't really have those. So
Mhm.
I was just defense, like float around. My nickname was Brick Wall because literally I was a brick wall. Um, and yeah, I mean, like I said, playing sports. Uh, growing up, yeah. So my house was always the food house. Everybody would always come over because Totino's pizza rolls, bagel bites, Cheetos, Hot Pockets, Mountain Dew, Yoo-Hoo, everything was always readily available at the house. One thing that, I look back at now is I was always the bigger kid. And you know what I mean? Like growing up, I know you're older than me, but like in the 90s, you knew where all the kids were at because you saw all the bicycles out front. It's a little different now. Obviously, kids are,
Mhm.
growing up and they're on iPads and stuff. I always had a three-wheel bike. I had an old lady bike because I mean, I've always been relatively well-rounded, tree trunks, bigger upper body, but I would get so discouraged from falling and failing riding a bike that I had one of those. So you always knew where I was at. Again, food was always in that back cart, but I mean, I'm rambling now, but yeah,
Yeah. No.
to answer your question, I mean, I was active
Yeah.
growing up and being a kid, but I just made all the wrong decisions with food.
Yeah, and like you said, back in the 90s, I mean, I'm like 9 years older than you, but back in the
Yeah.
90s, because I was, in like teenage years more in the 90s, but even before that, like you always knew where like kids were because like you said the bikes, like because there
Yeah.
wasn't like everyone was texting each other like what you doing,
No, it was
right? I guess like it
great.
was like you called maybe or you just showed up,
Yeah, or like
right?
your mom called, her house,
Yeah,
whatever his name's house is. Hey, are the boys there? So
yeah.
it's a different era.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah.
so we talked about like your background a little bit of growing up because I just ask a little bit because I mean we all develop habits there, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
regardless of, and then when pizza's on a bagel, you can have it any time.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
those were I didn't like those Totino pizza rolls were my jam because the
Yeah.
bagel bites always
Ba-
they get
mm,
rubbery and they weren't
yeah,
that good.
bagel bites are definitely, no.
But yeah, yeah. Totino pizza rolls, I would like pound a bag of 60 of them and like no
Yeah,
salt,
that
right?
that was a serving size.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you couldn't wait, like it says heat like 350 for 20 minutes, whatever, and then let sit for 6 to 8. No,
Mhm.
I'm burning my mouth.
Yeah.
I'm burning my mouth.
Oh, for sure. All right. So kind of progressing a little bit, like what was when you got to your heaviest, which I
Mm,
know is 480 because you show your pictures from when I love the picture of you in the pool.
yeah.
It just
Eh,
the first time I saw it, I was like, that's amazing and hilarious at the same time.
eh, yeah.
And because I mean, like that's like the fat kid dream, right? Being in a pool playing
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah, exactly. People
Uh,
always ask me, like, they're like, "Oh, what were you playing?" I was like, "Nah, my brother was just making fun of me." He's like,
yeah.
"Yo," he's like, "You might as well take this because this is all you do." All right, whatever. Take a picture.
Yeah. So when you got to that size, was there like a situation that happened that led you to want to change, or was it just like an accumulation of other factors over time of just being tired of being that size and realizing that you can't be that size forever?
Yeah. So for me, I think the part that I'm most grateful for, but also ultimately led to me getting that far off was I never had any anything wrong with me as far as health. I never had like sleep apnea, high blood pressure relatively for my size, but nothing alarming that I needed medication. I've never had a broken bone. I've never had a surgery. I've never had like a ER, have to be rushed to the ER for anything. So I never really had any health scares. So ultimately, it came down to um, I was just avoiding it. You know what I mean? You go to the doctor's office every year for your yearly physical, and doctor scale went with 350. So it was always a guessing game.
Hmm.
And I work at the same job that I do now as a delivery for a lighting showroom. And I had a delivery to warehouse and stepped on a pallet scale, saw 480. That was a little more than 350. Had no clue. Obviously, I was big. You know what it's like,
Hmm.
having to shop in different stores to get your clothing and stuff like that. So I knew I was past it. I didn't know how far gone I was. So yeah, I think just literally cliche as it sounds, that rock bottom moment, seeing that I was almost 500 pounds and looking back at pictures to a couple months before that I was even bigger. So I probably was 500, but
Hmm.
we're going to go with that first number that you saw on the scale was 480. So, um, yeah, I mean, that was my wake up call, just seeing a number. Yeah, it sucked not being able to cut my toenails, put my socks on. Um, Cleanliness in the bathroom was an issue.
Hmm.
Always breaking a sweat and smelling. You go to a restaurant or somebody's house and the bathroom stinks and you're gonna get blamed. It's like, oh, that guy took a shit. It's like I didn't, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's things that you get used to. It's things you get used to.
Hmm.
If furniture gets broken in somebody's house, you get the blame. If somebody's food's missing, you get the blame, and you kind of just you kind of just get calloused to it. You get used to the blame. It's just part of life. So
Yeah, I feel like you get used to being like it's like the some people I saw this phrase used for something else, but it was it was like the big guy tax. Like
mhm.
it was just like it was like what you got because that's who you were or who you're perceived to be. So like anything that's closely related to that, you're gonna be the one that is blamed or thought of in that moment. And and yeah, it's tough. Especially that funk, when you get that funk and you gotta like even after losing like 100 pounds, like I still had it sometimes, like when I go out, like I went to DC and I walked around a bunch and then like I came home and I had to get a shower because I was like, I just felt gross. Right.
Yeah.
Don't have that so much anymore, but still every now and then.
Yeah.
Because I'm still on my initial journey to get my quote unquote goal weight. But yeah, so you see yourself on the pound scale 480 and you decide to change. So what did you do to like change your nutrition, like, and exercise initially when you got that at that when you saw that on the pound scale?
Yeah. So, I mean, I, in a sense, was kind of like you. I know listening to your story, knowing your story, you're down two plus now,
Yeah,
250, right?
almost 250.
It's almost 250. Um, and I never really had a coach, never had a trainer. I kind of just like seeked advice and looked for advice. I really didn't like asking questions. But I just went to the internet, went to this beautiful platform that we met each other on Instagram, and just looked at how others found their success. And for me, it started with finishing that day at work, feeling like a complete failure to myself because I let myself get that far off, and literally DM'd a couple people asking for help. Didn't get a response right away, understandably so. Um, and went right to sleep. And this was before the whole 5 a.m. thing started, 4 a.m., whatever. I just like went home, for lack of better words, depressed. Went to sleep, woke up, didn't know where to start, but I knew that I needed to get all the shit out of my house. So I mean, I was young, had my own place. I was married at the time. So we had all the snacks. We had all the cereals you could think of. I was a big cereal eater. And I'm talking like popcorn bowl full of cereal,
Mm-hmm.
whole milk. That was my jam. So all the cereals, all the soda, all the chips, all the cookies, everything in the freezer had to go. Extremely wasteful now looking at it, threw out a bunch of money, but I had to because it was my health. Um, so yeah, really did not know where to start. I just started with that. I knew that I was a big calorie drinker, especially with Mountain Dew. The Oreo is kind of like a side joke. You know what I mean? I love Oreos. I love the variety in it. I love that it's picking up hype right now. I like to take credit for that. But no, like just knowing that I had to get rid of that. So I started with the basic bodybuilder diet, which I've kind of built on to this day. Obviously, I'm incorporating a lot more variety and carbohydrates, but just like chicken and broccoli, just lean, turkey and broccoli, spinach, green beans. Really had no clue what to do. Didn't know what my fitness pal was. Just knew I was like, hey, I'm gonna eat this. He's like, I see people eating these light and fit Greek yogurts. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Water. That sounds terrible. I'm gonna drink that. And yeah, I mean, just like started to move.
Mm-hmm.
480. My parents always had me, gym, got me gym memberships growing up, but I feel like I didn't fully utilize it until it was coming out of my own pocket. And that's not where it started right away. 480 started with walking my neighborhood, kind of like you, getting 10,000 steps a day, doing 20 flights of stairs a day because I had a little Fitbit Samsung watch, and just moving, which progressed to the neighborhood gym, which progressed to Planet Fitness, which progressed to CrossFit, to now where I'm at doing just bodybuilding training. And yeah, I mean, that's the progression. 4 years in now.
Awesome. And because I know you eat like similar things a lot of the time, right? You eat the chicken and rice
Yeah,
or turkey and
yeah.
rice or whatever. Do you ever get tired of it? Like, because I know people will say, "Oh, I can't eat the same thing every day." Does it ever get or are you just fine with it? Like, it's just you see it as more fuel than anything.
So funny thing, being Cuban American, my favorite dish has always been picadillo, which is like always like for my birthday meal. That's always what I have my mom make, and it's pretty much just seasoned beef and red sauce over rice with like plantains and stuff. So like the protein over rice has always been like my jam. So that made it a lot easier.
Hmm.
Um, but no, now like I have a little bit I'm still like a robot in a sense. Like I still practically eat the same thing, but like I'll switch up the protein from turkey to chicken to lean beef to pork, and then like I'll switch the carbs from like rice to sweet potato. But just with my routine and how much I'm eating, I'm not eating like a bird anymore. It just makes it easier when it's kind of like a system. Just boom, 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 way out the rice, blah 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 blah, protein, and I think I'm a good cook. I just don't have time to be fancy and like saute. Like gourmet's food is beautiful, but I just
Yeah,
don't have time to like season it. And I don't even know if I'm saying suvicide. I don't
sous vide.
sous vide. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah. I have
exactly.
a sous vide as well. And it's amazing when you can do that.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't. I'm making an excuse. I always say you have enough time to do stuff. I just don't. I don't put
You,
my time towards that.
yeah. So I have the thing that's just like the wand. So
Mm,
I fill a pot of water, put the meat in there in a bag, and then put the wand in and start it. And it
done.
takes like an hour and a half to cook a steak. But then once it's done, you just gotta sear it and it's ready to go. So it makes a lot less time standing there on the grill.
I might
Or
dabble in it. We'll see.
yeah, it's just they're not cheap, right? They're like, I think I'm on a Prime Day a couple years ago and it was like 175, and so they're usually like 250, but that the steak's like super tender. Like
Yeah.
that's what makes it great. But yeah, sous vide talk notwithstanding, but yeah,
Yeah.
Gourmet, his plating is quite good.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of
It's art.
experience.
It's art. Yeah, he's like 80 years old.
Sure, he'll love hearing that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So while you were in the thick of it of losing weight and it coming off, did would you have, because I know now I see your strombolis, which I love stromboli. Would you have those meals that people call cheat or treat meals while you were losing, just to kind of keep you like, so because like I feel like for me, I would have every when I was first starting, it was like every couple weeks I would have one or two,
Mm,
and then like it became like sometimes weekly throughout the journey, just depended. But it would kind of like give me like a little, I'm gonna say reward, but a little something to keep kind of help me keep going, because I'm like for me again, I wouldn't want to eat the same stuff every day, and then
yeah.
I wouldn't want to eat, like sometimes I'm just like I just want to have like a cheesesteak, right?
Yeah.
Like I go to Philly, I want a cheesesteak, or if I
Yeah.
like go out with friends and I'll get like whatever, like we'll get an appetizer, I'll have some of that or something
Yeah.
like that. Like would you have some stuff like that while you were losing, or was it just solely like you were focused on the plan that you had?
So like I don't want to say like I was beating myself up and depriving myself, but I never had those cravings. Like as far as like I'm a sweet guy. I mean, I'm a food guy. I think we're both food
Hmm.
guys, obviously. But I never really had those cravings. And I remember like looking back, like, yeah, I still went out with like friends and stuff. And to me, like a cheat, which looking back at it wasn't a cheat or treat, was like going to a sports bar and getting grilled wings, which is nothing. It's not a
Yeah.
cheat. But like I looked at it like, okay, this is off plan, which again, like I never really followed a plan. I just ate the same thing. And I guess one of the perks is I don't really find struggle or find it abusive in, being extremely repetitive. So I didn't have per se. And, I don't think I've taken like fire, but, there was a lot of talk like in the beginning, like about a regain and stuff because I lost the weight really fast. Like I lost 265 in 15 months, um, and have kept it off, lost more. Like that was my goal number, like 225 from 480 to 225. That was my number. I didn't really
Hmm.
have a timeline or anything. So I lost it fast. So I was just extremely focused on that. And, you know, I think where I'm at now is I have a whole lot better understanding to food. And so I allow myself, depending on my goals, I allow myself to have that the calzone.
Calzone.
Stromboli. Same
Sorry.
same thing. Same
Yeah.
family. Same family. But
Yeah.
I allow myself to have calzones. If I go to an Italian restaurant, I'll allow myself to have pasta. Um, I know these things like cookies, like Oreos and stuff, they're not going to have any nutritional, value to them. But I also understand, like, I'm not going to beat myself up. I'll eat a couple. Well, let's be real, like the serving size of Oreos is a box, but I'm not going to beat myself up and go do 3 hours of cardio after, because I know 3 hours of cardio still isn't going to do it. It's just
Mhm.
math. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
you just,
Yeah. When you walk like a quarter mile, it's like you burn 25 calories, right?
yeah, what I mean, you just got to keep moving, got to keep going forward. So
Yeah,
to answer
and
that question,
I like that a lot
yeah,
because like mindset's like a big thing for a lot of people because like when you're food addicted, like so many of us are,
yeah,
like to get over that hump where you're no longer like beat yourself up over it. Because I feel like so often people when they start and they're because I've helped coach a few friends that are looking to lose weight
yeah,
and like so often they'll start, well, what can't I have? And I'm like, well, you gotta change that to like what you want, like
yeah,
not what can't, because as soon as you say can't, it's gonna go until you say I want that, like because you're gonna want it. And then also like when you're in it and like the first thing if they ask you like when can I have a cheat meal, or just getting to the point where you call some certain foods bad, and then eventually it becomes like you're not just the food's bad but you're bad because you were bad because you ate X thing, like you ate Oreos, right? And they're
yeah,
not on your plan, and so then you're bad, and then it just becomes like a negative cycle where you're just
mhm,
constantly in negativity, and then it beats up your mindset at the same time because you're just like I failed, I failed, I failed, I failed. And like realizing that you can have stuff just in smaller amounts if you like really want something. So often like people hit me up on social media, they're like, and they ask like it's always the substitutions for things, right? Like the Quest version of things a
yeah,
lot. And it's always I always go, I've talked about this multiple times. It's always the Reese's Quest version. And I'm
they're
always
good, they're
because
good,
they're all right. Texture doesn't do
yeah,
it for me. So I'm just like,
yeah,
I had it once and I was like, they're decent, but I'm like, if I said to somebody, I was like, if you want a fucking Reese's, eat a fucking Reese's. Like, or if you want a Reese's, eat a fucking Reese's. Cause I was like, one Reese's cup or two Reese's cups are not gonna derail you to the point that you're gonna like gain 60 pounds overnight.
yeah,
That even just the caloric value of it and stuff, it's not gonna kill your diet for that week.
yeah,
It's gonna
exactly.
be a one-time thing. But if you get a whole pack of like a whole like 6 pack of eggs, like then
Yeah,
you
if you
start
go,
talking
if
like then we
you
start
go
talking
right
like
after the holiday when
yeah,
everything's 50 off,
yeah.
yeah,
So stuff like that. Like I feel like mindset's a big part of the journey.
absolutely,
Like I've been saying now, it's 50, at least 50% of it is the mindset, because you can follow a nutrition plan. I lost 100 pounds to follow a nutrition plan, and my mindset was not changed at all
yeah,
because I was just like, I'll just do this, and I did it, and then I lost 100, and then I started maintaining because I couldn't figure out why I wasn't losing anymore. It took like it was over a year of doing on the journey before I changed it.
mhm,
And so I like when you show that like you eat other stuff. Now you're in a more maintenance phase slash bodybuilding phase, right?
yeah,
Like you show that you eat like normal things, because so many people are like, I have to have kale. That's my snack. Or I have to have like the healthy snacks. And like you can have like one of my go-tos is I'll have like chocolate rice cakes with Nutella,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
that's and like I'll have two with
and that's
Nutella
it.
on top, and that's it. But it gives me like that sweet snack, and it's a snack like for one of my like I intermittent fast, so I have like lunch, first meal, and then like I have a snack meal like 3 hours later, then I have dinner like 3 hours later. And that's it.
Mhm,
And that Nutella, and I'm just like that just gives me enough sweetness that to get me through some days. I don't have it every week or every day, but just like some days I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. So
yeah.
but yeah, so as far as the mindset, like one of the things that I like the best are the non-scale victories, which I know you probably had a ton of, right?
Oh yeah,
What are some
yeah.
of your favorites that you had so far in your journey?
Um, I mean, you got the basic ones that the better half of the world will never understand, but just like the socks, the going to restaurants, not having to worry about where you're sitting. Um, people will say like airplane seats, but how about, fitting in your own car and not needing a belt buckle adapter. That's huge. But I think like the best is kind of, I want to call it being the invisible man. You know what I mean? Not having all eyes on you. Like walking into a room, just everybody just staring at you, especially with like little kids, because they don't know any better, and they'll say little snarky things and look at you differently and ask their mom like, "Hey, how would you get so big?" and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say like my biggest non-scale victory, coin that, being the invisible man. You know what I mean? Just blending in.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Recently, I guess it was a few months ago when this recorded, but I met up with our buddies John and Kenny up in Philly, and
Yeah,
we
saw
hung
that.
out and stuff. And when we were at the Rocky Steps, like this lady took our picture. Was like, she's like, John got his first, and I went next. And she saw me, and she's like, "Oh, I love my man big." And and
It's
then
like
and I was
thanks.
like, yeah, and it was weird. Like it was really. And then she's like, "I don't care." And she said something like, "These skinny guys, I like thick." And skinny guys being like John and Kenny, who she has no idea were
Yeah,
like also like what combined 900 pounds at one point.
yeah,
And then we get up to the top of the steps, and some guys like he's like I'm like he asked me, he's like, "You guys want me to take your picture?" Like they're always looking for get a couple bucks. And I was
yeah.
like, "Nah, we got it." And then he's like, "All right, I won't mess with you. You're a big guy." And I'm like, and I just turned to John and Kenny. I'm like, "What's it like being a skinny friend?"
Yeah.
Right? And it's just one of those moments where that's what I want to have eventually. Because I slightly noticed that I don't because now I'm like under 400. I don't get the stares as much. Like
Mm,
I don't see it because like it's because you don't stand out as much. So I mean, I knew you weren't as my size, but when you're like 600, I
yeah.
mean, there's a show all about 600-pound people.
Yeah.
And I always thought I was like, well, I carry it well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Like you know what I mean? The same thing with me. I
Yeah.
was, like I said, well-rounded.
Oh yeah.
Mike Gorman, he had a huge gut. Like he used to, let's be honest, like some of his old pictures with the food on his stomach, I think he was doing OnlyFans before OnlyFans was a thing. He might deny that, but he definitely had some income taking those pictures.
Yeah.
Those were those
My,
weren't just for him. Somebody was saying, "Send me a picture of a donut on top of your
yeah.
belly, boy."
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I feel like it'd be like somebody from like the Silence of the Lambs guy. He's like
He puts a donut on his gut.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's funny because my wife, because she's like 9 months pregnant right now, and she is kind of she's jokes because she is a shelf because she like put something on her belly. And
yeah,
I was like sometimes every now and then I was like I miss my shelf, like
yeah.
because I had that. I don't really miss it, but I was like, but now like I don't have that. Like I actually have a lap where I can put my laptop in my lap. Like that's
Ridiculous.
right, ridiculous. I'm not like angling it on my stomach and my knees to use it.
Yeah,
So it's those like those NSVs, even like the ones you don't even think about. I mean, we all know the booths, the airplane seats. I mean, they're amazing. Like, and I had the first booth moment. I was like tearing up because I was just like,
yeah,
it's been like years since I did that. But that, like, I feel like so often because people get attached to the scale number that the NSVs are what get you through. Because like when clothes fit better, when you don't have to go to those specialty stores or online stores, you can
yeah.
just go into like rant like Target
Or you
or
could just do
wherever.
things by yourself. I think one of the best things is like not having to like ask for assistance doing stuff because you physically can't do it. Just
Mhm.
being physically independent. That's another big NSV,
Yeah. Oh, and
you
and
know?
and and at the doctor's office, not needing to sit in the extra huge chair,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
which is my recent favorite because I had a physical like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, that's nice because I
Yeah.
used to have to always sit in that chair. So, kind of going through talking about effects of the journey, because I like to talk about physical and non-physical. So,
Hmm.
like the non-physical are like throughout your journey, like you either like you lose people that were part of your life because you don't do the things you used to do, and
Yeah.
like, you gain people in your life because of the things you now do, and also confidence because I or other things, but confidence is like a big one that I found myself
Hmm.
while I've been on this. And then the physical are like you lose height, you lose shoe size. Like those are my two because I've lost both. um,
Yeah.
or other things that you might think of. But have you had any of those effects of your weight loss and journey so far?
So non-physical.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't shy away from a lot of stuff. Like I'm pretty open book. But like if I know you found me what in the last year, maybe year and a half.
Oh, no,
You haven't been
I found you a couple years ago.
okay.
I had a different account.
Oh, you were
Yeah, yeah.
creeping.
I had a personal account, quote unquote personal account, and
Yeah.
which also has the year of my birth in it, like yours. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's how this
created
became. Like this is
yeah
just a personal account. I
yeah
wish I came up with a cheat.
I created another account because I created this account, becoming Brett, because I was like, I saw somebody else that had something
Accountability.
that said
Yeah.
something that rhymed with it or like alliterated with their name. So I was like, what's good with Brett? And then I came up with, I was like, becoming. And so then I was just like, and
It's
nobody had it. So I was like, perfect.
it's very becoming of you.
Yeah.
Um, so like I touched a little earlier, and like I don't really go into details, but you know, I was married, you know what I mean, and I think ultimately like that comfort of having somebody um that I thought was gonna be forever, and was comfortable with how I looked, and you know what I mean, just eating together out of comfort and stuff like that. Um, Again, one thing led to another that ended unexpected, or whatever. Anyway, so I think that's like one non-physical change that I had to go through. So like how you have becoming Brett's kind of becoming Alex. Like I said, cool. People on Instagram are gonna see the physical changes. They're gonna see, holy shit, this guy lost 280 pounds. But I'm at the point now that, as far as non-physical goes, um, I'm 20 years old. I am happily divorced. It sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. Like I went through that, and I'm not exactly where I thought I would be. Like I thought, I mean, I never thought I would lose all the weight. So that's a good thing. But I never thought that I would be divorced. I never thought that I would be living back at home, and that like that's still a little non-physical, mental struggle for me, because I'm so used to just like the way I was raised, like being independent. Like I moved out early, did all this early, so it's like I feel like I'm backtracking. Yes, I lost that person. Yes, I've had a couple people who never believed in me, and I don't like bang on my chest and say, "Wow, well, look at you, I did this." You know what I mean? So um, those are kind of like my non-physical losses. But then you like you talk about habits and mindset and all that, and you start to learn like, okay, maybe these physical things, maybe these people that were in your life that were suddenly taken out of your life were taken out of your life for a reason, and you find better things, you find better people that do come into your life. So um you know I'm still becoming Alex Porro. Like I said, like I've done some cool things, but I'm not done. Still hungry. But you know what I mean? Like you just have to keep moving forward and figure out like, hey, whether it be weight loss, whether it be financial, whether it be like, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? I'm proud of you. Like you're gonna be a dad soon. You've lost all this weight. You have a career. You know what I mean? You were the world's biggest CIA agent. Am I right? Like you're a spy. Um, so
Spy.
yeah. So I mean, people can compare apples to apples, but you know what I mean? Like everybody has a different success. It doesn't have to be physical. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it all ties together, right? Because
Yeah.
and there used to be this phrase that like before social media existed, that like people are in your life for a season or a reason. I mean, it still
Yeah.
exists, but
Yeah.
now with
Yeah.
social media, people can kind of be in your life forever because you can
Yeah.
just be friends on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, and then they never kind of go away. And like sometimes like it's meant to like not be a forever thing.
Yeah.
And you because people change and people have different goals and different um whatever in their life going on, and it you know I've had that happen in real life, and like before I lost weight, like I just had friends like when I moved away from home, when I was like 20. I was like your age, right? 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I moved away from the place I always knew. And when I did, like I had a friend who I thought was like we were like super close. Like we always hung out. Like I was in his wedding. Like after I moved, he actually had his wedding in Baltimore. And it's in his wedding. And then like even like leading up to the wedding, like he just wouldn't like he like almost like ceased contact. Even
Yeah.
I'm a groomsman in his wedding. I couldn't get him to
Eh,
tell me like where I had to go to get a tux, right?
yeah.
And then after that, it was like I saw him like once after that, and I haven't seen him in years. And except he asked me for money the one time, but then and I said
Eh,
no. I was like no.
yeah.
I was like I got my own bills and
Who
problems.
is
So
this? Yeah.
no, yeah,
So they'd be like,
nobody you would know. Nobody you would
no,
know.
it's like new phone. Who this?
Oh yeah.
It's like you hit
Yeah,
me up for
yeah.
money.
Because I haven't talked to you in like months, and then you just hit me up for like he wanted like to buy a MacBook, and he's like, yeah, can I just borrow like $2,000? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, how about you like go buy a beater computer like for 300 yourself,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so I mean, sometimes people just fizzle in and out, right? And then with the Instagram community, I found like such a like kinship with people because like we have a lot of similar experiences, like
Yeah.
because we were similar size, right? And then meeting up in person, which we did like in January.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of cool because like we know each other kind of, right?
Hmm.
And like we don't have that weird because we're technically strangers meeting up, right? And
Yeah.
we don't have that weirdness of it.
I
Like it's
think
just
my
like
mom always told me like, don't meet strangers off the
yeah,
internet. Look at us
yeah.
now.
I know.
Yeah.
And I organized like a meetup in Philly, and like I had even more strangers meet up, and it
Yeah.
was just cool because it was like all of us had journeys of different that were different, but we have a lot of similarities together, and it
Yeah.
just creates like this camaraderie between us, even though we'll
Yeah.
barely see each other.
Like this in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, going back to, well, this is gonna air in 3 years. But in 2 weeks, it's I don't even know what today's date is. It's June something, but in two
June
weeks it's
6th.
gonna June 6th, and on June 20th, I'm gonna be going back to Houston for the bodybuilding show transformation show that I won last year,
Mhm.
because not just because of me, but because of a couple other individuals who rocked the stage last year and just like literally let it all hang out, just embrace and just celebrated our bodies. Like we inspired a lot of people, and a whole mess of people are going to be doing it this year. And there's even a lot of people who aren't going to be doing it. And I wish you could be there, but I know your wife's about to pop any day now.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a huge like weight loss meetup, if you want to call it that. And there's going to be people who had surgery, people who didn't have surgery, people who did keto, blah, 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 everything.
Mhm.
And like you're talking about that community, I can't wait. Like I'm going to go up there. Obviously you're a big, you know what I mean, football fan. I'm gonna be there like Ray Lewis. Like I'm just gonna like walk in there, just
Yeah.
popping and hyping everybody up,
Awesome.
throwing a couple F bombs, you know what I mean? Just like letting people know like why they're there. You know what I mean? Like it's not for everybody. I'm not telling people like, hey, lose 200, 300 pounds. You need to take your shirt off and get on stage. Not everybody has to be there.
Yeah.
But I think just like that community, and like if some people do go and see like, wow, I think I could do that. I want
Yeah.
to do that. Let's do that.
It's funny speaking of taking a shirt off because I don't know if you haven't done there in Florida, but up here we're getting like invaded by cicadas this summer.
Those are just huge mosquitoes, right?
They're huge bugs of some kind. They have like freaking 6 eyes or some shit.
Yeah.
But yesterday, so it's like super hot here, and I was wearing so I went to the chicken wing festival yesterday, Maryland Chicken Wing Festival, and
Saw
it
that.
wasn't as good.
Yeah.
It was kind of lame. But I went and I had on so it was hot and super sunny. So I was like, oh, I'll wear like a light colored shirt. So I wore a Randall Cunningham jersey shirt that
Mhm.
I had, and I just got attacked. I think it's because it's green. Maybe
Mhm.
it looks like grass. So,
Yeah.
so I
Chill.
just kept getting attacked. Like it kept like landing on me and like right outside my house. So literally, and then I forgot the tickets in the house. So I had to go back in, and like I literally took my shirt off in my truck and walked back in, and I was like, I would never ever do that like 3 years ago, like
Yeah.
take my shirt off in public. I would just like deal with the cicadas.
Yeah.
But it's like that confidence that like again the confidence that you get because they're like, I'm just like F it, I'm not gonna get like as soon as I took the shirt off I didn't get attacked.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like just that having that level of confidence and having that level of kind of like an I don't give a fuck attitude too.
Yeah, it's just
Is
like pride.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm like whatever, and because like I take my shower at the pool at the gym, but it's like that's different because it's not my neighbors who I see every day.
yeah,
Like my neighbors could go to that gym, but they don't. So it's different. And then here
yeah.
it was like they could see me plain as day because it was like 1 in the afternoon. So so it's an interesting progression that you have again with the mindset and just with your whole like outlook on everything. So yeah, and that summer shred that it's summer shred, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a goal myself to go in 2023. That's my goal. So I'm working
Okay.
towards it because I was like,
Okay.
as it gives me 2 more years to get ready. Because I want
Okay.
to drop,
I like that.
I want to drop I want to drop the rest of my weight by next year.
I
Next,
like that. Yeah.
next year's my 20-year high school reunion, and we're actually having one.
Yeah.
And I just want to go back. I want to be like 250 at that because I'm like
Yeah.
that'll be like perfect because I was like 400 when I graduated.
I'm just gonna make you feel old. My next year is gonna be my 10 year.
That's all right. That's all right.
But no, as far as like the summer shredding goes, I'm fucking pumped. Like you let me know as soon as you make it official, and I'll be there. Even though like I'll
Awesome.
be reigning champ from 3 years ago. But yeah, like I had a buddy, a mutual friend you might know, Willie Gillis, and he was gonna do
Hmm.
it this year, but like he fell back into not fell back into, but he moved into more maintenance than weight loss because this isn't his first rodeo, so he knew he couldn't just keep cranking weight loss.
Yeah.
Um, so he's holding out until next year. And not talking shit, but the show that I just did a couple months ago up in Orlando, it's a completely different vibe. Like I'm never gonna try and make bodybuilding a career. I find it's fun. It's fun to me getting up on stage, owning it, having fun, showing the hard work that I've put in, wiggling, jiggling, shaking, um, and inspiring people. But like the show that I did in Orlando, it's more of a beauty contest. I had no clue. I had to have a suit and all this stuff. Like there's two parts of the show. Like you have to go out in a suit and look pretty, and that's not me. I literally had to buy one for it. And but the summer shred, man, it's just like that. It's just like it's like a Super Bowl locker room back there.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know. Obviously I was nervous. That was my first show doing it, but just like empowering. Like there was even a dude, and I'm not really that religious, but there was like a dude after, like before we stepped on stage, saying a prayer. It's like you felt it. Like you felt the vibe.
Mhm.
Like there was people who lost 50 pounds, 100 pounds, and like I don't discredit myself. Like I did a lot of preparation for that, even though I like winged it and I got in 2 weeks before that. But like I don't, you know what I mean? My transformation wasn't better than anybody. I wasn't better than anybody on that stage. I solely won. And again, I'm not like saying because I didn't deserve it, but I think I solely won just because my transformation was bigger. You know what I mean? There's not that many people who could say, and that's a good thing, like in this world, like it's amazing, but it's like bad to say, like, oh, I lost 280 pounds. Like, how the hell did you get that big? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So just going into that show and knowing like, hey, I'm not better than you. I'm not better than you. I'm not better than you. You look amazing. I hate you. You know what I mean? Like, did you even lose weight? Because you're shredded. Like, but you know what I mean? Just going into the mindset, like, yeah, it's a competition. Yeah, there's a trophy available. Yeah, but there's just something else about that competition. It's not about the hardware. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just going out there, meeting like-minded individuals, owning it, like you said, that confidence, that pride, stepping on stage. And it's not for everybody. It's definitely, uh, like I said, bodybuilding is not going to be a career for me. I'm always going to be a person who wants to work a 9 to 5 just because I feel like that's how I feel best earning my keep. You know what I mean? I might
Yeah.
have side hustles. I might, help people. I might sell some cheesy shirts, but you know what I mean? Like I don't I'm not gonna make money off of bodybuilding. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I'm not I just we've already like gotten so big from food. Like I don't want to I don't want to inject weird things into my body, but you know what I mean. That's for
Yeah.
another. That's for a different podcast. You know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's definitely it's a sport where there's leagues that there are rules and there's leagues that there aren't rules. It's just like, if you're a major league baseball player here compared to another country, the rules might
Yeah.
not be the same. So
Yeah. And you mentioned Willie. He's actually going to be on the show soon as well.
yeah,
Good guy. He actually sent me, you can't see it when I crop it on the video, but if you see my first video, he sent me 2 of the books behind me for free. Like he didn't want money. And
yeah,
I was like, all right. But because I think he's downsizing a little bit. And I was just like, I'll take him if you want to send them.
yeah, yeah. He got me on that. When the pandemic hit, like he got me on that reading because I was kind of like a lost puppy. Like
Yeah.
I was riding my bike like Lance Armstrong. And he's like, sit down, read, like journal. So I started doing that. And then I felt like I was copying his stitch, you know what I mean? Like doing the gratitude journal every day. But
Yeah. I was actually surprised when the one day when I was number 1 on his gratitude journal a couple days ago, because he had listened to my podcast.
I was like, are these in numerical order? Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's a great community where you just like randomly, because like sometimes like we don't chat for a while, and then like all of a sudden we'll be like in each other's DMs like hardcore.
Yeah.
It's just like we
It's
come
kind
and
of
go.
like that one. There's like that one visual I saw, like a real friend is a friend that you could just like sit in silence with, or you know what I mean? Like you can move away and just come back and just pick up where you left off. Like it's hard. Like I try, you know what I mean? I was like very involved with Instagram, but then you also have to be in tune with real life too. So
Yeah.
I love having conversations and DMs, but it's just like also it's like time consuming. And I try and like for my eyes and for my mental, just like trying not to be on the phone as much. So, but it's definitely some wild chats and always some wild fun topics on Instagram.
Oh yeah, for sure. So kind of transitioning to other wild topics, I like to ask everybody like a hobby or interest that's like not weight loss related. So I was just wondering what yours is.
Something, well, I know this isn't gonna post for a while. This hoodie with the beaver on it. Yesterday I drove 400 miles total, 6 hours total to go get gas. Um, I like the open road. I mean, it's what I do for work. Maybe that doesn't sound like fun or a hobby to people, but I like driving. Like my girlfriend isn't so much of the road trip type, but if I could have it my way, like I would just do like a road trip every month. I don't know, something exciting about exploring new places, something calming about the open road and traffic, even like traffic. I don't know, just driving, just being in control behind the wheel. That's like my hobby.
Yeah, are there places that you would like kind of like you'd like? So my wife and I always talk about doing like a cross country trip. We haven't done that.
Yeah,
Have you
no, I
ever
would
like
love that.
are there any places that you want to drive to like you've thought about in the past, or just anywhere?
Definitely cross country would be amazing. I have a friend who lives in Washington State that has been telling me like, hey, whenever you're ready,
Hmm.
you got a room here.
I mean that's a pretty big cross country, right? That's like
Yeah, that's
corner
literally
to corner.
exactly. I feel like I would have the opportunity first to go see Chance in Canada before he can escape, because I think we're a little more lenient here.
Yeah,
I think if he crossed the border, they wouldn't let him back in.
yeah,
So definitely Canada would be dope. Maybe cross the border, Mexico. But I mean, I'm still relatively young whippersnapper, but maybe like driving through every state, that'd be
hmm
something. I don't think that's realistically, that's not like a bucket list thing anymore. And yeah, you could fly for a lot cheaper, but like I said,
yeah,
there's something about driving.
yeah. We actually flew to like 2 years ago. We flew to Denver, and we drove from Denver. We did like this national park kind of trip. And we
Yeah.
went to like so we started Pikes Peak in Colorado. Went up to Mount Rushmore, Devil's Tower, which is from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Hmm.
movie, and then hit Yellowstone, and then went up to Washington State because I used to live there when I was a kid. My dad was in the Air Force, and I love Washington. Like
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's beautiful.
Seattle Burbs, but it has my favorite restaurant of all time. So every time we go, like I go like 3 times.
Yeah,
It's a total like hole in the wall place. Like you would never think like
yeah,
anything fancy. It's a
those are
strip
the
mall.
best.
It's a strip mall Japanese restaurant, which is
Those are the
basically a
best.
strip mall Chinese restaurant here.
Yeah.
And it like every time like I said to my wife, we went last year too. Um, didn't expect that trip. We usually go once every 5 years. Um, and when we went, and as soon as I took my first bite of it, I was like, tastes like the '90s because
It brings you back.
yeah, because it does. As soon as I tasted, I'm like, because it like the place looks the same. Like it doesn't look any different than it did in 1993, the first time I was there.
I
So
think one road trip I definitely need to do before it's over is I think there's like one, I don't know where it is. There's one standing Blockbuster left.
oh yeah, it's in Oregon. Yeah, I watched the
That's
documentary on Netflix. That's the only reason I even know. But
that
you
needs
can
to be
actually
on
buy
there.
merch from there too. I saw
Yeah.
the website. I was kind of thinking about. I'm like, I used to go
I'm gonna
Blockbuster.
sign up and get a card and cancel it.
I still have my card
Yeah.
from like way back. I don't even know if that works there because it's just weird because it's kind of like a relic of the past because we don't use it anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's in a drawer. It's in like I like this memory box thing that
Yeah.
my wife got me a few years ago. I put like tickets from sporting events and different
Yeah.
things like that in there and pictures and so I have the Blockbuster card in there because it's like laminated and I was just like I was like
Laminated.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I found it the other a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, I haven't used this in like 2012.
Yeah. It's
All right,
crazy.
cool. I like it. I like the road trip because it's a little, it's easy enough to do. It's just making the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and working a 9 to 5, we all don't have that luxury all the time, and
Yeah.
yeah. And when this comes out, I'll have like a 4 month old, and I won't have time for anything either.
Exactly.
All right, man. Well, cool. Kind of wrapping up here. I ask everybody 5 questions to end the show. I call it Brett's Corner, which was actually going to be the original name of the podcast. And so 5 questions. They're random. They don't like uh, relate. So
Hmm.
question number 1 is, what movie, TV show, or event are you most excited for in the coming year?
Upcoming year. I mean, I know I don't really like sit down and watch. I mean, I just find difficulty like sitting down and watching TV series anymore, just because I get an itch. But just like in general, like
Mhm.
getting back into the theaters is pretty fun. So, I just want to say like seeing what the MCU has cooking, um, seeing what's next. I think coming up next would be. I don't even know. I'm bad. I don't even know if Black Widow's out yet. I don't think it's
Yeah,
out yet.
it's next. It's the next
Is it?
movie.
Is
It's the next movie.
Yeah. So I'm not too excited about that. It
Yeah,
is what it is.
me neither. I'm like, we already know what happens to her at the end, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm like, this should have been like a movie like 5 years ago.
Yeah. But
I'm more excited about Shang-Chi, which comes out in September,
yeah.
which this is October now, so it already came out, and we probably saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it's a new story. Like it's not something that we've seen over and over again.
Yeah. I
And
would
I'm
say
also
just seeing what's next
yeah
with the
yeah.
the next order of MCU in general.
I'm also excited for the Thor movie because
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because like we get an OG Avenger movie again,
Yeah.
and
And it's the
it's gonna be
same
wild.
director.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's the
gonna be
same
wild.
director. So that's always
Yeah,
fun.
awesome. Yeah, I actually just went back to the theater last weekend for the first time in a year and a half, about, and
Yeah.
and it was just like it was weird, but it was like I was like I like being back here, and I had some popcorn because I was like haven't had
Yeah.
it in a year and a half, so I'm like gonna have
I went
some.
to go I went to go see Kong vs. Godzilla, and yeah, it's available. It was available. I don't know if it still is on HBO Max.
Yeah,
And like in the same row, but in a distance, there was like 13-year-old, whatever, 15-year, I don't know how they all like girls. And the whole time they're just like camera flashing, like taking Snapchat pictures and like, damn, I'm old. Like, can you just sit there
yeah,
and watch the damn movie? Like, why are you even here? But
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I'd say, just getting back into the theater and, seeing the movies on the big screen. So nothing like in particular. I'm just like excited. to have movies back on the big screen.
Yeah. Oh, me too, for sure. All
Yeah.
right. Number two. What are two non-health related goals you have for the next year?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with in the next year, uh, buy my own place. Love my mama, but definitely get back on my own feet. Buy my own place, and find a career. I've been working at a job and for the past 5 years, and grateful for that. They hired me when I was 500 pounds, but I think it's time to find a actual career. So those are
Yeah.
the two.
Awesome. Like it. I'm sure you'll succeed in both of those because you're ready,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you.
All right. Number three. If someone came to you saying they were lacking motivation to stay consistent, what three pieces of advice would you give them?
Um, Not every day you're gonna feel your best. You're not gonna wake up and just feel like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go rip a PR. I'm ready to go hit a 500-pound deadlift. Like there's gonna be plenty of days that you're lacking that motivation. There's gonna be plenty of days where you ate on point, but then you look in the mirror, you look at the scale, and it doesn't reflect. And yeah, you could just go the route saying, okay, well, shut the hell up. You have to be disciplined. Motivation isn't real. But just like embracing the real that like there's going to be days that suck. There's going to be days where you don't want to get out of bed. There's going to be days where, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you got to eat and that pie of pizza looks really good. Um, just building those daily habits. And if you fall off, get back up. I think it's a whole lot easier, and it can be lonely because, you know what I mean? If you're in a relationship, if you live at a house that has a family, you know what I mean? And not everybody's on the same routine as you, it's going to be easy to fall off. But having things set up, and I'm not saying like having an itinerary for every day. I'm not saying like having a whiteboard unless you need that. I'm not saying having a whiteboard in your room being okay. 8:15, I need to finish a half gallon of water. By 9:30, I have to have my cardio done. Blah 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 blah. But if that works, it works. So finding routine, building healthy habits, physical and non-physical.
Awesome. I like it. Yeah. I used to say on my Instagram post that like find motivation in your everyday because like
Yeah,
you can find something every day's a new journey kind of thing, and you can find stuff in every day that will get you where you want to go. It's also a lot of willpower, right?
yeah.
Uh, but yeah. All right. Number four. What have you discovered about yourself during your journey or transformation that surprised you the most?
Um, Surprised me the most. Just my ability. I wanted to say like my ability to adapt. I always felt like if growing up, if a curveball came my way or something came, it's just like, okay, well, I'm fucked. What's next? But just especially with obviously my living situation, obviously with the pandemic, my CrossFit closing, all types of things. Just like my ability to adapt and just keep moving forward. That can kind of go hand in hand with the discipline and motivation, all that stuff. But just me not succumbing to like, okay, well, that happened. So where do I go? I just keep moving forward.
I like it. Yeah, because so often, so many of us can fall back in. I mean, you probably did before, right?
Yeah.
Fall back into your old routines, and you're just like right back to the kid on the pool, sitting in the pool with the video game controller.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Question five. If in 150 years science fails to save us and all that is left is a book about your life, what would the title be and what would the blurb say about Alex?
Title. um, Probably something about Oreos. No. Say something like obviously like always hungry or the hunger for more. Um, just the story the story of a man who you know looked death right in the face and made change, and found results in simplicity. Just going to show people like just making those small daily changes can lead up to big results in all aspects, not only weight loss. And you know what I mean? Like that's my hopes is like my story is forging more than just the guy who lost 280 pounds. Because I think, you know, impact is huge. And when I'm gone, like I don't want people who are gonna attend, you know what I mean? Like you're saying, in 150 years, when people like look back and all this other stuff, it's like 100, and when I'm gone, when I die, like I don't want people to be like, oh, Alex was great, he lost 280 pounds. Like no, I want people to look at my story and be like, he was dealt a hand of cards, and he kept pushing forward, and life got hard, and he hardened his mind, but he didn't become an asshole and like too hard on people. I'm hard at times, but you know what I mean. I just try and be real and be honest. So
Yeah, and you know the weight loss journey was hard, but then there's gonna be more hard coming down decades down your life too. It's not like
yeah,
it's not like now you've got over that hurdle and now there's nothing else that's gonna be hard for your rest of your life.
exactly.
So awesome. I like to say I like that question because everybody's answers are different.
Yeah.
Like the other ones can kind of overlap sometimes, and but that one's always different. Awesome. So I have a bonus question that is not on the list
Oh.
because this is releasing on the weekend of Halloween.
Hmm.
Um, what were let's say your top 3 favorite candy you got as a kid on Halloween?
Um, always going to the dentist's house because he always gave full candy bars. So that would be for me. It was the Hershey's cookies and cream bar, um, Reese's the why am I drawing a blank? Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And nobody, let's be real, nobody likes Smarties, nobody liked Lemon Heads or like Laffy Taffy. Get that out of here. Like, give me the chocolate. So definitely like the Reese's Pumpkins, Hershey's with almond, or Hershey's cookies and cream, probably like Hershey's with almonds.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Full
Yeah.
size. Gotta be full size.
Yeah. And when you're a kid, you find out the houses that give you the full size candy
You
bars.
know. Oh yeah,
You go, yeah, and then
You get there
once
early.
yeah, because like some of them they'll even just like they'll have like a sign that says honor system. And they'll have like a basket, and then
Yeah.
it's dangerous because you're like
Yeah.
if you didn't watch it on video, you didn't see my look, but
Uh,
you know maybe you grab more than one,
yeah.
just maybe.
Well, I'm the size of 3 kids, so I'll take 3.
Yeah,
Exactly.
awesome, I like it. Yeah. All right, so um, wrapping up here, where can people reach out to you on the interwebs if they want to follow you, contact you?
You could sign up for my OnlyFans. I'm pretty much just on. I mean, I have a Facebook, but I rarely on it. I kind of just keep it for like memories and stuff. But you can find me on Instagram at Porro92, Porro 92. I tried TikTok, wasn't for me. Twitter, never. So just Instagram, plain and simple.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok and I've posted some videos, but I'm just like,
I
I
just do
don't.
it. I just go on it to like watch.
Yeah, I mostly
Yeah,
I make them so I can then share them to Instagram.
yeah.
Like that's
I
what I
don't
do.
even know how to work it.
I've just messed with it a little bit.
Yeah,
It's not hard. It's just like some people get like super a lot of following and they're into it, and I'm just like I just don't have the time. Like I really
no.
don't. Uh,
Mm-mm.
all right, cool. So if you want to reach out to Alex, you got his handle, so you can do that. I want to thank everybody for listening to or watching this episode all the way to the end. Congratulations, you made it. Uh, make
Go
sure
have
you
some Oreos.
yeah, go have some
Yeah.
Oreos. Make sure you check out the show notes for links to anything and everything we mentioned, including Alex's social media, well, Instagram. Be sure to check out my website, becomingbrett.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at becomingbrett, although I still haven't posted on Twitter yet. I just have the account. And you can follow the show on Instagram at becoming more pod. Until next time, give us a 5-star review or DM me why you didn't. Maybe we can make some changes. And make sure you come back to next week to learn how we can all become more.